Welcome back to my channel, Melanated Gods of Earth. At it again, once again, time and time again. I'm your host, MODISE The High King. And on today's video, I would like to continue more exploring the demise of the French Empire, the Euro-Western Empire, the neo-colonizers being handed their behinds, being told to beat it from the African continent, to leave our beloved resources behind because it wasn't meant for them. These were our blessings, and I will keep referring to this image until it is rooted in the back of our minds, our psyche, all those things. The image of black hands gripping black resources, blessed to us by the powers that be. And as we reclaim our throne, melanated people, we do so in honor of our ancestors past, present, and future, those who have suffered all this time and continue to suffer to this day, maintaining the lifestyles of the colonizers, or should I say neo-colonizers, because the game has changed, but it's still the same. And I will be using that word more. Instead of colonizers, I will say neo-colonizers, because that's what they are they not? As it has been prophesied that the French would slide into poverty and third world nations should they be without Africa's mineral resources. And I think I also would like to share a clip of that, because you know things are funny on that end, because TikTok is be ripping them a new one. But anyway, if you happen to miss my live from yesterday, you make sure you go over there and check it out. In it, there was an amazing speech that I think y'all should hear. African Unity, Ibrahim Traore, technically not him, but somebody, made a speech at the UN as Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger signed a pact. Because you know they've been trying to gun for those nations since the revolutionary efforts have been taking place, right? They've been threatening retaliation as Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger have been booting out the French Empire, and now the Germans and shortly the American military bases. And everyone has been reacting and freaking out and panicking over what it means and how they can keep an iron grip on these nations and their puppet regimes that represent them, to continue exploiting our mineral resources and our people to benefit and sustain their lifestyles in the modern day world. But, brothers and sisters, we rise, we resist, we emancipate. If you haven't subscribed already, make sure you do that thing. Smash the thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, and the share. Let other like-minded souls know that we're out here, and I will appreciate you infinitely. Let's get into it. France to withdraw troops and ambassador from Niger. I mean, the ambassador was being kicked out already, you know what I mean? And in another clip that I would like to share, Sophia Mokoeni weighs in on the recalling of French ambassador troops from Niger from our very own local news network, SABC News. I never really trusted completely. I mean, it is what it is, and I don't know if I want to share this clip. The wicked reason France can't leave Niger exposed. Ooh, looks gnarly. But let's start with this shorter one.
News coming out of Niger today is that President Emmanuel Macron has announced that France will end its military presence in the country. It will remove its 1,500 troops stationed there by the end of this year. In a televised interview, Macron announced plans to withdraw the French ambassador and several other diplomats from Niger within hours, followed by its military contingent in the coming months.
It's a military invasion force, and the French ambassador wasn't asked to, he's not being recalled, he was told to leave. And he played games and he was forced out. They cut water, they cut resources, everything. I don't even know what it must have smelled like in there. Probably like France smells right now. Third world country. For real.
It comes in the wake of a military coup in July that saw the ousting of the country's elected president. Mr. Macron has refused to recognise the junta as Niger's legitimate authority, but said that Paris would coordinate the troop withdrawal with the coup leaders.
La France a décidé.
Aww, little Macron.
France has decided to bring back its ambassador.
Decided.
So in the coming hours, our ambassador with several diplomats will return to France. And we are ending our military cooperation with the de facto authorities of Niger because they no longer want to fight against terrorism.
No, we want you gone, son. You're the terrorists. You're the funders of all these criminal peoples. You supply them with weapons. We don't have factories that produce the weapons that these guys carry, but y'all do. Perhaps one day we will have these factories to produce our own weapons, because y'all are a headache. We will resist.
James Barnett is a senior fellow at the conservative think tank, the Huston Institute, and explained why he believes that this is a win for the military authorities.
The junta, for the past 2 months, there's been this kind of very tense standoff between France and the de facto authorities in Niger. And the junta has essentially been, playing hardball against France, which has been insisting that President Bazoum be reinstated. The French have kind of not taken the military option off the table, and so as long as there were French forces within Niger, as long as the French were insisting that their ambassador should remain within Niger, there was kind of this question mark surrounding the whole situation of, might there be a French military intervention or a French-supported West African military intervention via the ECOWAS regional bloc. And so now I think essentially France is kind of, admitting, at least for the time being, that it's kind of lost its influence in the region, that it is unable to alter the political dynamics in the country, that is unable to achieve its objective, which is to reinstate the democratically elected president. My guess is that now, there's going to be some sort of discussion about whether Bazoum can exit the country with his family, that he can get exiled somewhere out of the country, because of course, so long as he's in the country, the junta is going to use him as a bargaining chip.
Hey.
Institute.
No, the man is guilty of being a puppet. The man is guilty of being a puppet. He must serve time in jail. That's the truth. But they must take this L and be proud. There mustn't be cowards now. Little Macron, you devil. Now let's touch on this next clip, as our fellow commentators here in South Africa weigh in on the situation, because as African peoples, we have our own opinion and outlook on the things. The Euro-Western media will do what it can to maintain its own image as they continue to talk trash about us as Africa and us as African countries individually to serve their own agenda. Get out. It's that simple.
French President Emmanuel Macron has announced the withdrawal of French ambassador and troops from Niger. He says this is in the wake of the July coup that overthrew democratically elected President
the July Revolution.
Mohamed Bazoum. Macron says his ambassador and several diplomats will return to France in the coming hours. He added that military cooperation is also over and French troops will withdraw in the months and weeks to come, with a full pull-out by the end of the year. To discuss the significant development, we're joined now by SABC International News editor Sofu Mkwena. A very good evening.
By the end of the year, family, keep in mind how quickly America pulled out of the Middle East. So no, I insist that they do it faster. Who knows how long they will take, but I would insist that they do it quicker than that.
To you, Sophie. Thank you so much for speaking to us. Let's start with what brought about this. Was it pressure, or was it a genuine decision by the French to give back some of the African countries that they've been basically occupying their independence?
Occupying.
You would recall, episode that last week, few days ago, we reported that some West African countries have signed a military pact, and those countries were Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. And therefore, it was clear then that whatever Niger is saying will have to be respected by those who are friends with Niger or operating in Niger. It was a clear message to the French, to ECOWAS, that you touch Niger, we will all support Niger militarily. Yeah. And therefore, I think after that, it was clear to President Macron that there's nothing that he can do going forward.
Get out or go to war with 3 African countries. Choose. We are one Africa, one army. Anybody who stands against us will get the smoke. This is the power of a youthful continent. The vibrancy of warriors willing to do what must be done to emancipate the motherland and her people from our historic enemies and their descendants who continue to exploit. Let us stand.
And he had to give in to the demands of the military government that the French troops must leave the country, and also the diplomats at the embassy of France must also leave the country. You saw previous days that there were lots of people from Niger who kept protesting outside the embassy, the French embassy in Niger. And therefore, it is pressure, nothing else but pressure.
It's interesting also how the French president cites it. He calls it the end of military cooperation. But what I find quite curious, Sophie, is how he says that it is evident that Niger does not want to fight terrorism anymore. How does he justify the statement?
I think he is trying to justify the statement, but it's not necessarily true, because we know that one issue that the military in Niger cited as problematic, it was the fact that much as France is saying it is assisting the military in Niger to deal with issue of the insurgents, it looks like the insurgents are getting even more and more stronger. And there was now even a suspicion that this is the case, because if you have that unstable situation, you know, sometimes it creates a better environment for illicit trade to flourish. And therefore, one thing that they wanted to do, according to them, we don't know whether they will achieve that, was to be in total control of the security of Niger so that they can repel the insurgents. But we don't know whether that will happen. And therefore, I don't believe President Macron when he says it is because the Niger current military government doesn't want to fight terror anymore. They were actually concerned about their security because there were constant attacks, not only in Niger, that whole Sahel region, Mali, Burkina Faso. There are challenges in terms of the so-called terror activities.
Note Macron said what he said, but she doesn't believe him.
That country. And you know that this is something that the people of that region have been fighting all along. Therefore, I don't believe that it is because of that. I think President Macron, it's dawned to him that time is out, and therefore he must pull out his troops and also the ambassador, because the situation was untenable with this military pact that was signed by the three countries last week.
And I'd like to just pick up from what you're saying, Sophie, because it does seem to signal the end of an era for France's occupation of some of these Western
neo-colonial invasion
in the Sahel region, because he speaks, Emmanuel Macron, that is, about the position on Niger and how they see the current leaders of Niger, saying that France does not want to be a hostage to putschs, meaning the coup leaders. And do you
if France doesn't want to be a hostage, they're the ones who've been holding us hostage, saying they're coming here to fight terrorism when really they're the ones who are funding the institutions. That is a hostage situation right there. You need us to fight these terrorists. If we leave, then you'll be at their mercy. That is a threat and a hostage situation right there. Trust.
I think all of this pretty much spells out what is likely to happen in other countries, because it would seem that France is quickly losing its influence or allies that it had wanted to put in governance.
Yes.
Allies that it wanted to put in governance. Puppet regimes, we're done with them.
It is very difficult for France currently in West Africa. Many countries are pushing back, and with this latest development, I expect more countries to be even more bold in terms of pushing back. And I think it is going to be difficult for France to continue to have strong military presence on the continent, I think it is not going to be easy going forward. And unfortunately, President Macron is currently a lame duck. I mean, you saw the results of the elections when he was elected. And also today, they were electing members of the Senate. His party did very badly. And therefore, he is even having challenges in his own country. You know that in July there were protests there, and it looks like he's really losing control. But you find the right-wing parties gaining traction, and this is something that's happening in most countries in Europe. And therefore, I think I was asking myself, Tshepiso, last week why he didn't go to the United Nations General Assembly. You know that the 465 members of the P5, that is France, UK, China, and Russia, didn't go to the UNGA this time around. They did send representatives. And I was asking myself, normally President Macron doesn't miss these kinds of gatherings because he has positioned himself in Europe as a voice of reason in Europe, taking over from Angela Merkel, who was very influential in Europe, but he didn't go. And now clearly there are lots of issues that he's dealing with. Even the war in Ukraine, he's under pressure. You know, some European countries are beginning to have fatigue of this war. We saw the standoff of the president of Poland and Zelensky at the UN, where the president of Poland lost it, because I think the whole Europe is now tired of this war.
And it seemed even President Joe Biden received a lackluster reception when he was trying to push for more cooperation and resources for Ukraine. But Sophie, let's just get back on track on this Niger issue. The timeline for the withdrawal, President Macron speaking about his ambassadors and high-ranking officials saying by the end of this year, French troops ought to be out of there. Do we know the numbers that we're talking about here?
100 troops that are currently in Niger. And it's obvious it's not easy to pull out because you also have military wear and weapons there. So you have to either take out those capabilities or you have to destroy, and it's not going to happen overnight. But in relation to the diplomats, the officials from the embassy and the ambassador, that can be done, and that is why he's talking about hours. I even suspect that as we speak, he is possibly on his way out, perhaps driving to the next border where he can be able to get a flight. And I think it's happening as we speak. There was no way he could have made that announcement when there are no preparations for the ambassador to leave. And in relation to the troops, that is why he's talking about it will be a process that will be finished end of the year, because it's not an easy thing to withdraw troops when you've had almost a military base in that particular country.
You know how quickly they pulled out of the Middle East, like I said earlier? They did it in lightning speed. So I reject the idea that they can't pull out just as quickly. You know why? Because the French are the type to destroy things on their way out. And that's my greatest worry. Whatever infrastructures they have built in exploitation of our land in terms of military bases and all that, they're going to destroy a lot of that infrastructure. They're going to destroy a lot of equipment. They're going to destroy a lot of things. And they shouldn't be allowed to do that. They should not be allowed to do that at all. What we need to do is to make sure, or even if they do try, they must suffer retaliation. That's a fact.
It will take time because you don't want these weapons that you were using there to fall in the hands of the very same people that you were fighting. And therefore, I think that is the technicality right now. What are you going to do with the military capability that you had deployed in that country?
Leave it behind as reparations of some kind.
and the vehicles, lots and lots of those heavy vehicles.
Sophie, thank you very much, SABC International News Editor Sophie Mkena, on those latest development coming through. French President Emmanuel Macron announcing that his top diplomats will be leaving Niger, saying that this as France moves to end its military presence in Niger. There certainly is a growing sentiment in the western parts of Africa and the Sahel region to see the back of France and its military occupation in some of those countries. We'll continue bringing you up to speed on that.
As will I, family, because things are getting interesting. Things are getting interesting, Real Bloodline. Yes, indeed. If you haven't subscribed already, make sure you do that thing. If you enjoyed the video, smash the thumbs up and the subscribe, fam, and I'll appreciate you. And let me just quickly log into here so I can just set that up so we can end it on that note. Yeah, man. Do the thing. And we continue on that note. Do the thing. Excellent.
Niger, Burkina Faso and Mali all have one thing in common, and it isn't just about the coups that recently took place in these nations. They are all critical about France, and they want to put an end to the French agenda in Africa. This is the reason why the aftermath of these coups has been marked by the various military leaders unequivocally demanding that all the French troops leave from their respective countries.
Because you know me, fam, I like the truth with a side of clarity.
France's response to this has been simply dismissive regarding Mali and Burkina Faso. However, in Niger's case, it's a different story. France has treated this issue with utmost seriousness, firmly rejecting any possibility of withdrawal.
I mean, they were
so
so
the question you might
arrogant
be
about
asking
it.
is why France seemingly doesn't mind pulling out of Mali and Burkina Faso, and on the other hand its feet are still firmly planted in Niger.
Why?
Well, in this video we are going to be discovering exactly why France refusing to even consider leaving and why they might truly never leave. But first, please take a second to like and subscribe so more people can see this. Niger is the world's 7th largest producer of uranium and one of France's primary uranium suppliers. This contribution is significant since it accounts for more than 20% of the uranium required by France to fuel its enormous network of 56 nuclear reactors spread across 18 power plants.
I shared something similar in another video. If you haven't checked it out, please go do that thing. It's all about the uranium. I think the image is exactly this one in the thumbnail, so you'll see it.
Orano, a famous French business, controls mining operations in 3 unique locations in Niger.
Why?
The mines, the Akokan mining site, and the Imuraran mine.
So irritating. Oh my goodness. We're like infected with Euro-Western business interests. They're everywhere, like a bunch of parasites. So disgusting.
Since the junta faction took power in Niger, there has been a considerable and noticeable increase in the price of uranium within the country. Uranium, which was once valued at about 80 cents per kilogram, now fetches an astonishing price of €200 per kilogram. This extraordinary price increase has caused a significant shift in the dynamics of the global uranium market, with ramifications for the key players involved, particularly France. Canada, another significant uranium supplier to France, is currently selling uranium at a rate of €200 a kilogram, in line with the newly discovered pricing levels. In contrast, France continues to purchase uranium from Niger at a significantly discounted rate, paying only 80 cents per kilogram.
I shared this before in a previous video and I will say it again. That is disgustingly fiendish, parasitic behavior, neo-colonial, and I'm so excited for how this story is developing. And I've said before, if they want war with all of Africa, they will have it in abundance.
This pricing gap has influenced France's uranium buying policy. To understand the magnitude of this economic dimension, consider that Orano, the French company in charge of uranium mining operations in Niger, is estimated to earn a staggering annual revenue of approximately $54 billion solely from the exploitation of uranium resources in Niger.
Oh my lords!
This significant cash windfall emphasizes the economic importance of Niger's uranium riches to France and its linked corporate companies. Orano's involvement in uranium mining in Niger dates back to 1971, when this crucial cooperation was formed. Orano strengthened its commitment to uranium extraction in Niger in May by negotiating new contracts with the Nigerian government, prolonging French uranium mining operations in the country until 2040.
I don't know if that's in Niger, but if that's how they mine our lands and leave open pits like that. You see, they extract resources as though they don't have to live here. Otherwise, they would have invested in underground mining. It would have been so much cleaner, but this is disgusting. They don't have to live here, they got no care in the world, and they just destroy. That is the value of deals with European countries and Western countries. So I say again, Royal Bloodline, we need to unite ourselves to emancipate ourselves from this. This is filth.
This long-term commitment demonstrates Niger's uranium resources' strategic importance to France's energy security. The year 2022 was a watershed moment in this partnership, with France acquiring 1,440 tons of uranium from Niger. Surprisingly, this amount represented 20.2% of the total 7,131 tons of uranium imported by France that year. These data highlight Niger's crucial role in meeting a significant amount of France's uranium requirements.
So the only reason why the French economy is so powerful is because they've never had to pay full price for anything when extracting resources from Africa. They have never had to pay full price for nothing. Can you imagine? On top of that, they've been made to pay. We've been made to pay neo-colonial tax, or post-colonial tax. It's just.
Niger's importance extends beyond its bilateral relations with France, as it plays an important role in the greater European energy landscape. The commencement of the Russia-Ukraine conflict drastically altered the geopolitical scene in an era when European nations were traditionally relied on Russian natural gas. As a result of the disruption in Russian gas supply, European Union member states, notably France, have been forced to diversify their energy sources and explore alternatives. Uranium emerged as a possible substitute, and diversifying natural gas supply became a primary goal.
Yellow cake, that's what it's called. A purified form of the uranium after it's been mined. You process it, and you produce this substance. Never having to pay full price. That's the only reason why your economy is so powerful, among many reasons. Many neo-colonial exploitative reasons. So truly, our active revolution is going to cause them to slide into a dark age even faster at an accelerated rate, especially now that they don't have access to Russian gas. Let the darkness find them, family.
In this perspective, Niger stands out as a reliable source of uranium, particularly for France.
Once upon a time,
however, the rise of an anti-Western dictatorship in Niger has placed doubt on France and the EU's ability to secure.
Careful now. Don't use words like dictator where they don't reply. It's a revolution, sister. Revolution.
Secure low-cost uranium. The country's role as an economical uranium supplier persists, but the political context raises doubts about the country's ability to maintain this beneficial connection. France views its capacity to negotiate the problems provided by the Niger junta as superior to engaging in a confrontation with Russia, emphasizing its unwillingness to leave Niger. This story emphasizes the multidimensional nature of France's ambition to stay in Niger, which is motivated by economic, geopolitical, and strategic factors. The complexity of this position generates serious concerns for Niger's future, France's role in the area, and the global oil supply dynamics. Let us now look at the second reason for France's choice to remain in Niger. As previously stated, the European Union has faced energy issues as a result of Russia's inability to supply natural gas to EU member states, prompting the search for alternate energy sources. Concurrently, Nigeria has issued threats of military action in Niger in response to the recent shift in government.
Hey, if the brother wants a coup, too, he will have it an active revolution against them. Like I said, them were puppet regimes. And some of our beloved puppet leaders have been asking for it. They've been begging to be made to retire. I'm curious to see how my fellow African brothers and sisters in those areas are going to handle the situation. Because like I said before, no more puppet regimes. No more.
Allow me to introduce you to the Trans-Saharan gas pipeline,
Which
you
makes
may
no
not
sense
be
to
aware
me.
of. The Trans-Saharan gas pipeline is a large-scale project that envisions a pipeline running through Niger's territory. The proposed pipeline's route would begin in Nigeria's Warri region and extend northward, passing via Niger on its way to Hassi R'Mel in Algeria.
Now, the one thing that I would do fundamentally is to make sure that this project comes to an end. We have no business taking gas from our continent. Right out, like dog. How do you build a whole pipeline project all the way into Europe when our own people have yet to get access to clean energies and energy, period, point blank? You know what? I would divert those pipelines right into other African countries. Hell, forget Europe, forget them.
Estimated course of the pipeline can be seen on the map given. This massive pipeline is anticipated to be 4,128 kilometers long in total, with around 841 kilometers crossing through Niger. It is worth noting that the Trans-Saharan gas pipeline concept was first proposed in the 1970s. However,
so it's a neo-colonial project.
The energy ministers of Algeria, Niger, and Nigeria did not resurrect this project until June 2022. The restart of this project was partly spurred by the European Union's increasing energy demands, as other energy sources, such as Russian natural gas, grew increasingly questionable. This huge project is expected to cost around $13 billion. The Trans-Saharan gas pipeline, once operational, is projected to ease the annual transfer of 30 billion cubic meters of natural gas to Europe.
No.
However, Niger's continued political turmoil poses a huge threat to one of Nigeria's most ambitious infrastructure projects.
Excellent.
It also provides as a vital entry point for Nigeria into the European gas market. The
African market should be our priority. Forget Europe. The African market. 54, 56 countries on the continent. Right? We need that gas. To hell with Europe.
Nigeria, Africa's largest oil producer, has lately switched its emphasis to promote natural gas in the 2020s. This strategic shift, however, presents substantial obstacles in light of the July military coup in Niger. In response to the coup, ECOWAS, a regional coalition led by Nigeria, took a firm stance, threatening military involvement. Simultaneously, Nigeria is dealing with local infrastructure challenges, most notably the blocked AKK pipeline, which has put question on the sustainability of a big project intended to connect Africa's considerable gas reserves with European nations seeking alternatives to Russian energy supply. It is worth noting that Niger will get a sizable chunk of the $13 billion capital investment authorized for the Trans-Saharan pipeline project.
And they would get more if we focused on ourselves and rehabilitated our own institutions and placed faith in our people and our economies. Stop chasing immediate paychecks and immediate bank. Trust more in the patience of developing our own people over time.
However, Niger now has a restricted daily oil production of 20,000 barrels per day, as well as a limited gas production. Despite these obstacles, Niger is about to inaugurate the Chinese-built Niger-Benin oil pipeline, which has a capacity of 110,000 barrels per day.
And where's that oil going? I want to know.
This highlights the complexities and concerns facing the enormous Trans-Saharan pipeline project, which is taking place amid changing regional dynamics and infrastructure issues. The Trans-Saharan Pipeline project has the potential to monetize Niger's significant recoverable gas reserves, which are estimated to be in the range of 34 billion cubic meters. The project's future, however, is dependent on the current situation in Niger and the wider Nigerian region. Nigeria's oil production has declined significantly in recent years, and its export infrastructure issues have hampered its capacity to supply the expanding European demand for gas. Russia's military engagement in Ukraine has aggravated the issue. These issues highlight the importance of France's reluctance to leave Niger. Their strategic aim is to prevent any departure from Niger, and this story contains additional layers of complexity that we will explore in following conversations. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and a sub, and we'll see you in the next one.
Wow, that was incredible. Now, to bring that to a sweet close, Royal Bloodline, there's a video I'd like to share. There's a certain brother, I've shared this before, but this brother has been catching heat because he went mad viral. Because he traveled to Europe and basically, you know, did the thing. Where is it? Where are you, my G? Ah, there we go.
Y'all save all y'all money, all y'all lives to come here. Let me be the one to break your bubble. First of all, Paris stink. It smells like piss, cheese, and armpit.
So let me start off with this. I had no idea that that video was going to cause so much vitriol, so much anger in people across the internet. I had no idea. After having time to sit back and analyze, like, what did I do wrong? I was just making a little video. I understand where I was at. I was in France, a third world country. And I come from a first world country. There's privilege in that. And it wasn't until one of my European friends brought that up to show me, like, you have to remember, you have privilege coming from a first world country, and you're over here in a third world country, essentially shitting on them, talking about how they don't have air conditioning and how it stinks out there and things of that nature. And I never put that in perspective because, I mean, I've been to third world countries before. Like, one of the third world countries I went to was the United Kingdom. But like, France was the first third world country I went to that actually took me aback a little bit. But I had to understand that what I did wasn't right. I thank France for showing me that I need to be more appreciative that, yeah, you know, I did go through struggles back in America, but it can never compete with the destitute lives that people live in France. So I'm using my platform to let France, Paris, the whole country know I stand with you.
Ruthless, dude. Ruthless. The jokes just write themselves at this point. Royal Bloodline, if you have subscribed already, make sure you do that thing. If you enjoyed the video, let me know in the comments below. And smash the thumbs up. Let the algorithm know what's good. Let other like-minded souls know that we're out here with a share. And I will appreciate you. Family, thank you for watching. And I will see you in the next one. Stay royal. Peace.